This is Gilbert Andrew Garcia. Listen to my radio show, A Tip from Gilbert. Talk, inspiration, and prayer every Monday from 11 a.m. till noon on Houston's gospel leader, KWWJ. 1360 AM and streaming live on kwwj.org. Listen on the legendary KYOK 1140 AM and streaming live on kyokradio.org. KCOH 1230 AM, The Source. On San Geek Radio 95.1 FM 1460 AM. And Aliento Radio 101.7 FM and 1540 AM. Call in at 832-570-8075 and follow me on social media. See you then. All right, here you go, Houston, with Gilbert Garcia with another tip for me. And we welcome you on this wonderful Monday morning. Thank you, studio audience. And, of course, I have my good friend, Miss Elsa Flores of SEIU. And so you're going to love her in a moment. We're going to talk all about the elections, what's going on in the city, what's going on nationally, because SEIU has it going on. And I can tell you my experience with the union, which has been a great one, and we'll go through all of that. But first, you know, once again, Centerpoint, it took Dan Patrick to say we should change that leadership and that they should resign. Board members, where are you? Of course he should resign. My goodness. The people deserve better, and it starts at the top. So we got to really come to terms with all this stuff, and we got to quit protecting people and have a lot of good for nothings. The other thing is I saw where John Whitmire has now caused for the resignation, or I don't know if he called for, but a retirement heading the Sports Authority. And of course, I ran against John Whitmire, and you know what? He's really cleaning house. So, Mayor, way to go. Clean house. And, you know, I don't know if that person was good or not, but when you got someone that's been doing it for 16 or 17 years, you know what? That's probably too long. And so ultimately, you know, we got a clean house. I love what he's starting to do here. And only one person, and I'll tell it like it is, could have done what he did to get $50 million from the state when we were facing a shortfall. Some of the council members who were being very, very thoughtful were saying we're going to have to raise taxes because we got to close the budget, which we have to do by law every year. And he pulled a rabbit out of the hat, got $50 million from the state. No one else could have done that but John Whitmire. That is true. So, Mayor, I salute you. You know, like anything else, I may have been your opponent, but I'm your friend. So here we go. Keep going. And I know we always talk about, you know, the storms and everything else. And I got to tell you, we have a lot of clients of ours that are in Florida. What a scary time. And our firm has now donated $10,000 to relief. We're probably going to donate more than that now because of the second storm. And they are going through all kinds of things. So please play for Florida. We know what that's like. You know, I'm still dealing with stuff from the last storm here in Houston. I know my partner had a redo of almost her whole house because a tree fell through her house. So these things happen, and it's just the Lord's will. But we've got to pick up the pieces, and we've got to persevere. So I want to just say to Ms. Flores, welcome to the show. This is your second time, right?
Yes.
It's because we had such a good time before.
I like that.
Yeah.
I really enjoy coming.
Well, the first thing is this. How important is this election? And let's start at the top. Are you ready to vote for the first female president of the United States?
Yes, I am.
I am too.
I'm excited, actually.
I am too. You know, my daughter is strong-willed, like her mother, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I love them both. And my daughter said, I want to get registered because she just turned 18. And so her whole thing was to get registered so she could vote for the first president, female president in the United States history. And I said to her, honey, that's beautiful. And so now she's registered, and she was checking online to make sure it got registered and went through. So she was checking in, and now she's comfortable. It went through. What does it mean to you as someone that has worked in the union? And of course, SEIU is primarily people who work in the buildings. You know, they're all the people that make the buildings and the companies and all the downtown workers and others. It makes them all work. In other words, everything functions because of SEIU and all the things that they do for everybody. They are around sensitive materials. They're around sensitive stuff. You can trust them. They're cleaning up the offices. They're just fantastic human beings, and they do it with a smile. We know all of our SEIU workers here. They're wonderful. Tell us about SEIU. What does it mean to you?
So let me start by just saying
Since
the last time that I was here, SEIU has grown. We don't just represent the janitors that clean many of the buildings here in downtown and do, like you said, amazing work with so much pride. And it's a job and they take pride on it. But we now also represent airport workers in at Bush and Hobby Airport.
Oh, how wonderful!
Yeah, no, they're cabin cleaners. They're the ones, wheelchair attendants,
oh, how
baggage
wonderful.
handlers, and the big thing with that for me is, again, here you had a group of workers who were doing excellent job. When you get to the airport, they're the ones who are making sure that everything that you need is going to get to the place where you're going to go.
Right.
They're taking your loved ones in the wheelchair, and a lot of times that work goes unnoticed and unappreciated. But that means it also gets not paid properly. And,
amen.
And so many of them are workers who are, people of color.
They're almost all people of color.
All of them.
And they're all and some of them have 2-3 jobs, and they don't make any noise. They're just wonderful, loyal, the exact type of employees that you'd want at any firm.
Yes.
And they're so wonderful.
Yeah.
Can we hear her okay, or do we need the mic to move up? Let's move the mic up a teeny bit. Okay, go ahead. Just be careful on the edge. Keep going.
So, I'm really proud. We were able to get those workers. Many of them still made close to minimum wage. And now they're above $15 an hour, going for their second contract with the city of Houston. We started that, through an executive order back when the previous mayor was there. And now we're about to talk about, okay, what does this mean? Because we want to make sure that these workers are protected, that they still continue to have a path to a livable wage here in the city of Houston. And so like you just said, the mayor's doing a lot of different things. We want to make sure that he doesn't forget about this group of workers as well. Because at the end of the day, there are people who live in the city, who are going to spend the money in the city. They're going to be investing in our city. And I think, they need to not be forgotten.
And people lose sight of the economics when they say things like, well, then we'd have to raise the tenant's rent. Well, my goodness, you know what? I'm a tenant. And I think we pay something like $600,000 a year to rent this space downtown. And I'm transparent. Everybody knows that. So I'm just telling y'all, we'd be more than happy to spend a little bit more if we knew it would go for a livable wage for our SEIU workers. We would be more than happy to do that. We would want to do that. And ultimately, it's good for the economy because then they've got that money and they're going to take care of their families and do things. And then it all makes the engine of the economy of Houston better.
Yes, it does. And the great thing about on the airport side is that, guess what? The ones that control the money, it's the airlines. And we know the airlines are not hurting for money.
Yep.
Right? They're the ones who contract the companies that are hiring the workers. If they just pay them enough money, then those workers can get some. And I will tell you the airlines are doing well.
Yes.
And they just need to be held accountable to make sure that it trickles down to the workers that are doing the keeping everything going. But
the heavy lifting. It's heavy lifting. And I mean, really, they're lifting the heavy bags. And whenever there's a problem, when there's a storm or something, people get mean at the airports, meaning everyday people riding, because they take it out of the workers.
Yeah.
And there you go. You got SEIU workers that are making sure people are taken care of. Their bags go to the right place. They can get off and on the plane. It's just a beautiful thing.
Yeah. And so I just wanted to make sure you knew that those workers are now part of SEIU. We're really proud of that. But you asked me a question about how did I feel about the elections, about what's going on.
Well, hold that thought if you don't mind.
I don't mind.
I'm going to make that down because I want to go through the elections, and we're going to go through everything from how you feel about it, other people locally, as well as I want to go through all the dates that people need to know about. Mm-hmm. But before we do that, SEIU, remind us, what does that stand for? And the union is national. Yes. Just give us some of that background.
So it stands for Service Employees International Union. And we represent over 2 million workers in the U.S., Canada, and Puerto Rico. Anywhere from healthcare to what we call property service, which is, airport workers,
Mhm.
janitors, security, it's the direct service, and then public sector, which could be the city at the state level, county level, workers who do the day-to-day work at the government offices. Those are public sector workers that we represent as well.
And you are the head of the union for the state of Texas?
And I am the president of the SEIU Texas. So we have members now here in Houston, in Dallas, in El Paso, and Corpus Christi, from healthcare to, what we call the service industry.
And so how many workers are there? You said 2 million nationally?
Yeah.
How many are in Texas?
In Texas, we now are about 7,000 workers strong and growing.
Yes.
For everybody who says in Texas, people don't want to organize, they don't want a union, that's not true. In many cases, it's just me not having the capacity to have that many campaigns moving at the same time.
That's
but
right.
People want to do better.
Oh, yeah. The only people that don't want to have unions are the people that probably need a union because to pay them a fair raise.
Yes.
Right? They're the only ones that don't want one. Well, let me ask you this. So, where do you think that it's going to go here in Texas? I mean, what do you view? Because I know SEIU is really big in New York and sort of the East Coast. What do you think? What's our potential here? Is it 100,000 workers one day here in Texas? I mean, what do you think?
I think the potential is unlimited. I mean,
It's really huge, right?
It's huge. When I think about how many caregivers we have in the state of Texas who right now don't have a union, who don't have a way to bargain and negotiate together over what wages are, those are hundreds and hundreds, thousands and thousands of workers who could benefit from that. Childcare providers, hospitals. We here in the city of Houston have, a medical center that has anywhere from the people who are cleaning the hospitals to the person that's putting your anesthesiologist, your phlebotomist.
Right.
All of those folks are organized in other states. The only difference is that in the state of Texas, they like to make it difficult for those workers to be able to have the right. So difficult that at the state level, you have people passing legislation to take back and roll what people have fought so hard to get, like breaks when they're working in the heat. Like, water breaks. Who thinks about taking away water breaks?
Yeah, I saw that, and that's outrageous.
Exactly.
It's not even humanitarian. I mean, it's just not even. You got to have remember the Grinch? His heart was 2 sizes too small.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, you got to be like the Grinch, and you got to have a really small heart if you're worried about get back to work. You're taking a break, and you're trying to have water when it's 105 degrees outside.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just horrible.
And it doesn't just happen to people who work outside, even though those are the biggest cases, because, unfortunately here, especially here in Texas, right? Those is where you hear about people dying immediately. But I will tell you that you hear about cabin cleaners who say they turn the air conditioning off when they're cleaning the airplane and they're passing out. They're suffering from heat exhaustion because it is hot in those planes, especially.
Oh, it's horrible in those planes.
Right?
They're ovens.
They're ovens, and they're being asked to clean in a hurry. You have to do it fast so the next people can come in. So I think in the buildings, after a certain hour, people turn off the air conditioning because clients are gone. So our members are sometimes being asked to clean. And I will tell you, in my own building, when they turn off the air conditioning at 6 p.m. or at 7 p.m., I only can stay there maybe an hour before I start feeling it.
Yeah, and the whole air's gone. You're just going
suffocating.
Yeah, you just can't even breathe. Well,
and not being able to take a break to go get some water, that's just ridiculous.
It's totally ridiculous. Well, let's keep going for a second because so how does one? Let's pretend there's I'm making it up right now. How do you organize a union? How does that happen? How do you get workers together to vote on a union, and how does all that work?
So there's a lot of different pathways, right? Obviously, federally, every worker has the right to have a union, right? In the state of Texas, we have what they call right to work, and it's just the government's trying to prevent people from forming a union, right? Making it even harder. But honestly, workers just have to decide they've had enough. They want to be able to have a voice at the table. They want to be able to talk to their boss without fear. And as long as you have enough people who want to do that, right, they can come call us, say we want to be represented. If you get a majority of the workers saying that they want a union, you can either ask the boss to recognize us. We have majority. We can prove we have majority of the workers. We want to sit and negotiate with you. And if the boss wants to do the right thing and not go drag out the process, then it's as easy as that. then we can sit down. Now, if you can't, then obviously we have to go the legal way where you ask for recognition. Then you would have to have a period, a period where you get an election.
Mm-hmm.
And once you get an election, if you win the election, then that employer is required to then negotiate with you. I would say the current administration has created a lot of different rules now that prevents employers who want to fight the union, who want to drag out the process to try to make it easier for workers. My fear is obviously that all of that could go away because elections have consequences, right? So if we have a different administration, they can try to roll back a lot of that.
It could go in a blink of an eye.
Yes.
I mean, it doesn't take long to wreck all the, I mean, look what we see going on with people of color and affirmative action. It doesn't take long for a change, whether it's a Supreme Court ruling or something like that, to just put us back 50 years.
Yes.
Of course, Roe versus Wade, the women's health. What a deal. Let me ask you this. How did you get involved with the union in the first place?
Well, I actually worked in the nonprofit field before. Yeah, I worked with victims of domestic violence. I worked with sexual assault victims, with the homeless population, youth, and families. And it was frustrating for me because you assume people who knows what happened. People don't want to know what happened. But in reality, sometimes, like you said, it's just them losing the job. And then, most people can't afford to have a big savings to keep them going for too long.
Right.
And that's all it takes. Lose your job, and sometimes for not good reason.
And then you'd be homeless.
And then you could be homeless with your entire family.
Oh.
And so that broke my heart. And I found out about the union, and I didn't think I could do it, but I really loved it. My first election was with nursing home workers who were making minimum wage at the time. And I saw how loving they were with their clients. Sometimes they would use their own money to buy makeup and perfume and get them all pretty. And I was like, they deserve better. And so when they won their union, and we're so happy and so thankful that we helped them, guide them through that process, because it really is them. I was like, no, this is it.
It must have been a thrill of a lifetime.
This is me.
Yeah.
This is me. I got to help more and more people.
That's what the Lord sent you a message.
Yes.
You need to be a union leader, organizer.
And I've been doing that since. I can't see myself doing something
Wow.
else.
Hold that thought. We have a caller already. Who is that? A Mac? I can't quite read it. Mac, is there a Mac there?
No, it's Matilda. Hi.
Matilda, I'm so sorry, Matilda. Please accept my apology. Matilda, first of all, does anyone ever say, when they say Matilda, do they say, waltzing Matilda, waltzing Matilda? Do you know that song?
No, I haven't heard that one.
Well, it's like I think it's Australian. And so there's a song, Waltzing Matilda. It's a famous folk song down there in Australia. Maybe nobody knows it but me. But Matilda, what do you got?
Yeah, hi. I just want to say that I respect service workers so much. I mean, they do such hard work, and they deserve a living wage and more. And so I have so much respect for them. And second, I just wanted a little backstory. In college, I used to write for this little community paper, and I covered SEIU. And I remember meeting some of the members, which were like just so. I mean, they were so passionate about improving the lives of the workers and just working hard. And I mean, I had so much respect for them. And I remember going to a mass that was held. I think it was Immaculate Heart of Mary, right there by Days of Allah in Houston. And so I remember going there specifically, and it was just so powerful, like just like the whole mass, and seeing the brooms and everything. And it was just, anyway, I just wanted to know, do you guys still have those?
Yes, usually our members like to do that whenever they're going to start their new negotiation. At the time, it was Archbishop Fiorenza who literally would come and do those with them.
Yes.
Wow.
And, he's gone now, but many of our members are very religious. I mean, and it doesn't matter which denomination they come from. They want to have a blessing. They call it the blessing of the brooms, because it gives them that strength for the fight that they're going to have to take. And so it is still very traditional for them to do that.
What a beautiful thing. I have not heard of that, Matilda. That's a beautiful, beautiful thing. I can only imagine, the things that you wrote about it, because I'm sure it was a very emotional thing.
Yes, it was very powerful. And I don't know, I felt like, it gave them the strength to move forward and, actually get blessed with, what they were looking forward to receiving.
Mhm.
Wow. Well, Matilda, thank you so much for calling in, and hopefully you'll call in again.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Matilda.
You have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
So on SCIU, I'll never forget when there was the movement for the $15 to raise the minimum wage. I worked, as you know, with some of the union workers here and called some of the building owners because I know some of them. And we were delivering signatures to a building up the street. And I remember I had like 5 or 6 people from SCIU. We went together. And are you ready for this? They wouldn't let us in.
No, they won't.
They would not let us in to deliver the petition.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it. And so we went out front and we all prayed together. We got in a circle. And one of the ladies who was so wonderful, she's been working in an office building for, I think she said 30 years.
Yes.
She started at $2 an hour. And after 30 years, she was at 10.
Yes.
I just wanted to cry. And I thought, my gosh. And they were telling me stories about they got to really be quick on the draw because they have, I don't know the right thing, but they have a schedule. They have to be done with this floor, then to this floor, and they have to stay on schedule or it'll impact their job.
Yeah.
And so they're working super hard. And for all of us that are in the buildings, if you make a big mess, that's terrible because all you're doing is making these folks stay longer and harder, and it messes up their schedule. So be more thoughtful. But I just was really moved by that.
Yeah.
And she was just the most gracious lady.
Yeah.
Just 100% goodness. I'm sure you see that all the time.
All the time. I mean, I have members who started organizing in 2006 and their kids were small, and now I'm looking at them and they're going to college, and it was because those parents were working 2 or 3 jobs to try to get their kids through school, through college, many times not making it home. When they get out of here, it's 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. And it's hard to go home, and they still have to get up early and take their kids to school. This is a workforce that's committed, that understands that this is a good paying job. And look, there is no job that is demeaning to anybody. As long as you get paid well and people treat you with that respect. There's nothing wrong with cleaning an office building, cleaning a bathroom and doing it well. But as long as people are willing to recognize that and pay you for it. Pay you a livable wage. I think, every job that we do in this world deserves respect, because that means you're not out on the street stealing from anybody. You're not out in the street breaking down houses because you want to go steal. You actually want to earn your money.
Well, a friend of mine is Reg Applin, and he's a builder, and his brother's Beaver Applin, who is Buc-ee's.
Okay.
And of course, Buc-ee's learned this right away. If you really look at the formula for Buc-ee's, the bathrooms are so clean.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Every woman driving and every man driving wants to go to a Buc-ee's to go to the bathroom. And then, of course, you buy stuff. And you know what else that he learned? Pay your people well. Mm-hmm. He pays people more and always have above everybody else. And that's really been the success of that store, which is if you can pay them well, they're going to give you their all, and your all is all you can ask. But their all is everything. And that's what makes people shop at Buc-ee's. I love going there. So let me ask you this. So when you were young, when there was a young Elsa, and you are young now, but when you were like a young baby Elsa, were your parents in the union? I mean, who influenced you? What were your parents? What was their background? How did you get involved in this whole sort of nonprofit world?
Well, I'm from Honduras, and I actually grew up with my grandparents. Because my mom was living here in the United States, as many of us who are immigrants know that very well.
Working hard to take care of her family. That's right.
So that she could send money to take care of us. And when she finally was able to bring us to here, I already came in with my grandparents who were very involved in the community. My grandmother and my grandfather helped build the only, they call it college over there, but it's like after you get out of sixth grade, you go to 3 years. They helped to build the first community college that was not paid, so that the community could send their kids who couldn't afford to continue to send kids in our town. So I always saw them active. They will go out into the neighborhood and pick up trash with, be involved in parent teacher stuff. So I always had that in me. I think, God works in mysterious ways. And I remember I was one of those kids that needed a summer job program. And back in the day, it was called JTPA. And I got assigned to go work at a domestic violence shelter as a clerical person. I saw what they did, and I got kind of pulled into it because I spoke Spanish and I needed to take a crisis hotline with a lady who spoke Spanish. And that's how I started doing it. They trained me how to talk in the crisis hotline with people who spoke Spanish because they didn't have anybody. And after I finished the summer program, I got a part-time job there, and just continue doing that until I got
wonderful.
in the union.
How wonderful. We have another caller already. We have an Emma. Is there an Emma there?
Yes.
Emma, you got me, Gilbert Garcia, with a tip from me with Miss Elsa Flores of SEIU. What do you got?
Thank you so much. I just want to say how much respect I have for the SEIU workers, and just wanted to ask, how can a regular person either spread a word about help or get somehow involved, just to make sure the world knows about how incredible the job they're doing?
Oh, that's wonderful, Emma. Is there such a thing as you have a website or a place where people can go get information to join the union or to help the union?
Yeah, so I would say if you go to the SEIUtexas.org, we have a wonderful page that tells you about the different campaigns that are going on. It talks about our mission and our vision. Who do we represent? In addition, you'll see there how to go into our Facebook and Twitter account and all of that kind of good stuff. I'm not, I was seeing you earlier. I'm not very good with technology, which is hard to believe, but I don't do that much. But yeah, if you go to our website, it'll have our phone numbers, contact information, and that way you can get involved. The great thing about the union nowadays, right? We used to think about the unions as the scary people that used to come and beat up others with sticks and, do all of that. I would say sometimes we do some of that stuff. I've been arrested in downtown taking civil disobedience at some point, but we're not aggressive, and we work on a lot of issues that are have to do not just with the work, because we understand that workers are not just the person that you see at work. They're parents who need help in the community to make sure they have a nice, clean park, that their schools have the classes that they need, that, whatever issue that is going on around them, that they have an avenue to get involved, right? And so we work with them on information about citizenships for folks who need to become citizens. We've had bilingual classes in our offices. So because we understand that many of these workers can't go to the classes that they have during the week because they're working. So we would do Saturday classes. We engage them on civically, help them go through the process of how to register to vote. Here's the website that you go. Here's the information you're going to need. And then for many of them who've never voted in the system, and it's not just immigrants, by the way. Right. There is people who live and were born here in the United States who have never voted, and it's scary for them. We bring them in the office. We had the legal women voters in our office who go through them on the different processes, and here's where you're going to go vote. Help them and mimic of what it's going to look like. Here's some of the questions you may get asked to avoid it. And so, it's a wonderful experience because we also talk about, here are some of the issues you're going to be hearing about today when you go to vote. Here's what it means. I am a big believer that people should make up their mind about what they're going to vote for, and they're not dumb. If you tell them what this means, they're going to decide for themselves on what that means for them.
That's right.
For me, it's not about a candidate many times, even though we do endorse some candidates, but we bring the candidates into our office and let our members talk to them and say, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And then they make a decision on who they want to vote. So we engage our members in that process. We talk about climate change. We talk about, racial justice, immigrant justice, because we know that those are things that are impacting people in the community today, but they're also impacting our members.
Well, let's go back for 1 second for Miss Emma. So SEIU
SEIU Texas.
SEIU Texas.
They can put TX.
TX.org. So Emma, did you get that? SEIUTX.org. The website's there. I think we're looking at it now. For those of you that are on social media, I know most of you are on radio, but for those of you on social media, we're kind of going through it now. And so there you go, Emma. There's plenty of things that you can do, and we appreciate your interest. So get involved.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome. So let's go back, Elsa, for a second. So how many campaigns are going on right now?
So we are currently working to help workers in Dallas organize their union at the airport, which, now that they saw that in Houston we were able to do it, they want to do it in Dallas too.
At Love or at
Both.
DFW? Oh, how wonderful.
Both, yeah. And so the first group already got recognized, and we're sitting to try to figure out the funding so that they can also get access to increase their wages. So we're working on that right now, but at least they got the recognition from the employer, which means that, they can sit across and talk about issues that are important to them. Issues that are, how do the schedules are going to work? How do we make it fair? Parking, believe it or not, even in Houston right now, can you believe that at the airport, workers are making $15, $16 an hour, and they're still asking them to pay for parking?
Gosh.
Parking is not.
And it keeps going more up higher and higher and higher market parking.
You got $15 an hour, but if you have to pay for parking, it adds up. Yep. Right. And so it's not like they could park close. Everything is.
That's right.
It's far. But similar is in Dallas, like that happens. And then we have a campaign right now for security officers here in the city of Houston. They're workers who are subcontracted at the city of Houston, and they could either be working at the airport or they could be working at some of the libraries, and the clinics and the places that the city serves. So those workers are currently, talking to each other and figuring out how they all come together to form a union.
Wonderful. Well, now let's go to what we want to talk about. Although we want to talk about all this, but the elections. What do you see are the main issues? And obviously, everyone on this radio knows, and I'm well known as being a Democrat, et cetera. But how do you see the race stacking up? And what are the key differences between the two main candidates?
Okay, so I'm going to tell you probably something you're hearing everybody in every radio station.
Go, we're ready.
It is close. It is neck and neck.
Is it that close?
It is.
Have you seen
very
polls and everything like
We've
that?
We've seen poll after poll after poll. And, unfortunately, we know at the end of the day, people are always going to focus on what they call battleground states. But what has me excited is that because there's so much, it's neck and neck, and there's a lot of enthusiasm for people because, like you said earlier, right, it's the first time that we have a candidate like Kamala Harris who people got excited about, right? They wanted a change. It also is the first opportunity that I think we have since Hillary. Yep. And to now have a viable woman candidate run. That's right. And so I think it's now trickling into Texas. I think people assume Texas is always going to remain Republican, and they have this idea it's never our vote at the federal level is not gonna matter. And what I say to people is your vote always matters. That's right. Because it doesn't matter if we don't win, but we need to start showing people that the elected officials and people who are trying to run for office that more and more people are getting active. And then they're going to start caring about what we have to say, right? So for me, I would love to see Texas go blue like you. But even if it doesn't, we're showing movement every day. Harris County went blue. Nobody thought it was going to happen, but it did, right? So we start out doing it locally, and it's going to build up. I don't think that Ted Cruz thought he was going to have as hard of a time as he's having right now. Right. But it's happening. People are getting excited, and they're paying attention about what candidates are saying and where they stand on the issues. This is about the issues. Everything else that people throw out there, all the hate, all the stupid rhetoric, the lies, the divisiveness. At the end of the day, it's whether, can I take care of my family the way things are right now? Right. It's about the economy. Let's talk to me about that. Right. Right.
With Ted Cruz, I don't know him. I've never met him. But what's interesting is, and I knew Beto real well, and, Beto ran a very different race. He was everywhere. He was a hellraiser. He was like, let's go. And Colin Allred is completely different. He's like kind of quiet, behind the scenes. He's not, working everywhere. I mean, I wonder, is that a better strategy than the Beto strategy? Or maybe the Beto strategy obviously didn't work, so we got to do something different. I mean, I don't know. What are your thoughts about that? Beto was everywhere, and he was a real ral-em-up guy.
Hey, look, I supported Beto.
Yeah, he's awesome.
Right? He's awesome. I loved, he spoke to me.
Mm-hmm.
But not everybody is like me. And so I do think it's important for to have a candidate that figures out how to bring people from where they are,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so I think that, Colin Allred, I met him actually. He came and spoke to our members, and I've heard him speak several times. SEIU has now endorsed Colin Allred, because I think that the person we have right now is not good enough
Mm-hmm.
for our folks. We need something different. Ted Cruz has not done anything different that's not self-serving or is not saying no to everything that people in Texas are asking for, right? And I will tell you that I'm a big believer. If you got elected, you work for us.
That's right.
Right. And so I can't tell you how many times we have gone to his office with members of the community. It wasn't SEIU, it was members of the community, people who live in his district, and said, we would like to meet with you about this issue, that issue. We can't even get past the
front desk?
Not even the front desk,
Come
the
on.
lobby.
Come on.
Right. So we would be outside. So his staffers come downstairs and then they say he's not there. And that's it. So we can't even walk into an elected official's office to have a meeting with him or to sit down with some of his staffers.
And do you say to the staffers, well, if he's not here today, I'd like to make an appointment?
We have never gotten an appointment with him.
Wow.
Not once. I would say I've had a meeting with Senator Cornyn once around immigration issues with the community, but unfortunately with Mr. Cruz, not once. I am sure that if some of his, friends, I would say, ask for a meeting, they can get a meeting. We cannot.
Wow.
Right.
That's disappointing because you represent, 8,000 workers, but your union's 2 million. You're not just, someone out there. You represent the voice of a lot of people. You would think he'd say, of course, I want to know what your members are saying.
Right. And he may not agree with our issues, but at least he should hear them.
That's right.
Right. He may say, look, what if you guys did this? This is what we do. You negotiate. You start I can't move that far, but I can do this, and that. But he's just everything that I believe that now Texas wants. Because Texas has changed. We're not Texas from 50, 60 years ago. The demographics in Texas have changed. The needs of this community have changed. This man understands that in Texas, we still have a minimum wage of $7 and 45 cents. Right? But not once has he run a bill or gone to Congress or the Senate and say, look, the right thing to do is to raise the minimum wage so my members in Texas can have that. The right thing to do is for us to figure out how to make the healthcare system that we voted and want for work for my people in Texas too. He doesn't.
Let's just pretend it was $10 an hour. Let's just pretend that's an annual salary of $20,000
for people who have full-time work.
That's right. And think about, and probably most of them do not even have health care or retirement fund or anything. What's interesting is when I was running for mayor, everybody knows I ran for mayor. I was learning about moderate income housing and the problem around it. And what's fascinating is, what a moderate income housing is in Houston, Texas? Mm. It's almost $300,000. Yeah. How is anyone, even if you made $20 an hour, that's an annual salary of $40,000 before tax.
Right.
How's anyone going to afford that?
Right.
I mean, it's dreadful. Hold that thought. We got Jesse on the line. Jesse,
yes, sir.
Jesse, what do you got? You got me, Gilbert Garcia, a tip from me with Miss Elsa Flores of SEIU. Somehow I want to say SEIU, MOUSE. I don't know why. I don't know. You know what I mean? SCI, SCU. MOUSC, I don't know, because maybe it's just the letters, or it sounds like you're doing a cheer, like, my son goes to LSU. It's like give me an S, give me an I. I mean, right? Go ahead, Jesse. What do you got?
You were talking about the Senate race, and I just want to remind everybody we're having a debate watch party tomorrow night
nice.
at Hacienda's TNT tomorrow, Tuesday night. We're having it in Gilbert. You're going to speak along with Blanca, Gracie, and a few more people just to open up the debate watch party. So we're asking everybody to come out and watch the debate watch party at Hacienda's TNT over there on 5434 Lawndale at 6:30. Come join us and come enjoy some discussion, listen, learn, and then make sure you vote early October 21st. So I want to thank you, Gilbert, for again helping us support the debate watch party and always helping the community like you did this past Saturday. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. And tell Miss Elsa that great idea that I supported, but that you implemented, and the song that we did. We did a song. I'm going to send it to you. It's awesome. Go for it. Tell her about it, and tell everybody on Houston about it.
And myself, so you got to tell everybody we took a song, the Oye Como Vamos Santana, and changed the words to Vamos a Votar.
I love it.
And we have a YouTube video, and Gilbert kicks it off for us by telling everybody how important it is to listen to the song, follow the words, and like his mothers used to say, if you don't vote, don't complain.
That's it. That's it.
If you don't vote, don't complain. Well, you were wonderful putting that together. And if you haven't seen it, Houston, I'll put it on the site, on my website. I'll send it to you, Elsa, because at the end of the day, it's all about getting people to go vote. Jesse, you've been working on that for, I don't know, since you were little Jess. You've been working on it your whole life.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. And I want to thank you, Gilbert, for helping to make it possible. And we are getting airplay throughout the United States. And I want to thank everybody. Everybody's telling me that it's a really good thing. It's a nonpartisan song, but we're telling everybody, vamos a votar. And it's for the kids, it's for your family. And it's encouraging. And we want everybody, everybody motivated. Please go vote. And like I tell everybody, don't be a tonto. Vote pronto.
Hey, I like it. Don't be a tonto. Vote pronto.
Jesse, give us those dates again. When is early voting start? When does it end? And when is election day? Just go one more time.
Monday, October 21st is the start of the early voting. Monday, October 21st. And then it goes, I think, through the 31st. And then November 5th, Tuesday, November 5th is election day. And again, if you need a ride, just call Gilbert. He'll get somebody to make sure to take you to the polls.
Amen.
So please give us a call. If you need a ride, we got a team of people ready to go. And Gilbert is definitely supporting us in getting the people to the polls. So please, early vote.
Amen. Thank you, Jess, for calling in. All right, Houston, I want to take a quick minute, if I could, of privilege here to say, we've been talking a lot about my sister-in-law, and I know that some of her family now listens to the radio show, even though they're down in the valley. And, of course, she'll be coming back to our house for treatment. She's getting treatment for cancer down in, they live in the valley, but she's coming to MD Anderson. The other person I want to pray for, in addition to her, is my producer. As we all know, Mauricio Merin is from Colombia, and his wife is from El Salvador. And of course, we love those communities. And his wife, Daisy, is now a member of the Senate down in El Salvador. She got elected from the diaspora, which means people living outside the country. So it's an incredible thing. She's going through a very difficult time now, as she's going to be going into surgery today, and we're hoping and praying that the results will be negative on some things they're looking at on her body. And so we're going to pray for both of them. So this is for Daisy, and this is for Tanya. So, Almighty God, giver of life and health, send your blessing on all who are sick and upon those who administer to them, that all weaknesses may be vanquished by the triumph of the risen Christ, who lives and reigns forever and ever. Amen. Life can change in an instant.
Yes.
in an instant, which is why we've got to make sure we live every day and we thank the Lord and we live every day like it's your last, because every day, is a gift. And so you want to make a decision to make every day positive, and everyone you interact with, you want to be positive, because that's how you want to be treated.
That's right.
So amen to that. So let's go back. So what are the main issues, Elsa? Oh, we have a Julia. Hold that thought. Julia, are you there? We have a Julia on the phone.
Yes, I'm here.
Julia, you have me, Gilbert Garcia, with a tip from me with Miss Elsa Flores of SEIU. What do you got, Julia?
Yeah, I was curious. Y'all were talking about Kamala Harris earlier. I was just wondering, like, how she's going to advocate for y'all if she becomes president versus Donald Trump, who seems to be more anti-union.
Let's, Julia, thank you for the question. I'm going to throw it over to our union leader. But first, I will make a statement about Joe Biden, because he's probably been one of the best friends of labor that's ever been in the White House. I mean, he really has been. And it goes back to his roots. He was a blue collar man, and he's been in government for a long time, but he's always been a big union man. And so I think I think that's a very important thing to give credit to. But let's talk about where's the differences and where they stand on union issues.
So I think, look, this administration has been I would say, the most pro-union administration that we've had, even when you think about President Barack Obama and some of the people that we've had before. He was standing in the picket line with the auto workers, right?
Yep.
He is talking and figuring out how to improve things from the federal level so that it trickles down to the states that don't want to do something that's pro-worker, like Texas, right? To figure out how we do changes at the national level. I think Julie Shu, who is
the
Secretary of Labor, has been to Houston at least since I've been here 3 or 4 times already, talking to workers, trying to hear what their needs are so that she could see what she can do through the Department of Labor to make some of those changes, including changes in OSHA, including, promoting things that are really going to be helpful for working people. I see Kamala Harris continuing to do that, continuing to talk to people, everyday people like you and me, who are going to work every day, who are having a hard time. She is been talking a lot about the care industry. And when I say the care industry, is how to raise standards for nursing home workers, for home care workers who take care of the most vulnerable populations. And now she's expanding how to do that for childcare providers. I mean, the people who are going to take care of our children when we go to work. She's also been making a livable wage. So I see them trying to do more through the Department of Labor to make those laws that will help us to organize more. And, our biggest thing for them is we need to change the minimum wage at the federal level, take it off the hands of the states, because unless we do that, Texas is not going to move forward. I cannot rely on the current people at the state level to do the right thing. Right. So, for us, it's just how do we also make it easier for more and more workers to say, if I want to form a union, has nothing to do with the employer in terms of usually how I spend my money. And if I want to pay a union to represent me, that they don't need to have a say in that. And they actually should make it easier for us and not intervene in that decision.
Amen. So, Julie, one thing is I always like to break things down into sports. In football, you have 3 areas. You have offense, defense, and special teams. And no area is more important than another. In my business, which is money management, you have the investment people, you have the client service people, and then you have operations. No area is more important than the other. You need all 3. It's like a stool. Well, the same thing with society. You need strong management, you need strong labor unions to represent the workers, and you need strong regulation to ensure that everything is working. It's a 3-legged stool, and that's what makes it work. And no area is more important than the other. Right. Management's got to work with labor and vice versa, and you got to have regulation to keep things in check.
All right.
So, Julie, thank you for the question.
Can I add?
Yeah,
one
go ahead,
thing?
please.
You said you wanted to know the difference
Yes.
with Trump, and I would say the difference is that Trump is talking just to the business side. He may show up at try to say he's talking to the workers, but in reality, you have had him on the record saying if people decide to organize, if people go on strike, they should just get fired.
Yeah.
Right. The simple, basic rights that we now have can go out the window because he doesn't believe that we should have those rights. He never ran his companies that way.
That's right.
And so there's no reason to believe that he is going to change. He's never done that, right?
And how can you have people that are making $50,000 or, and they're paying a good percentage of their money in taxes, and then you see some of these people in the highest echelons, and how much is enough?
Mhm.
And you got people making $1 billion, $5 billion. Soon in our lifetimes, there's going to be someone worth $1 trillion. Think about that for a minute. How can that happen when you have all these other people that are just barely making minimum wage, and you've got others that are worth almost $250 billion,
Right.
and yet they don't want to pay their portion of their fair share of taxes?
Right.
How can that be? The value system here, we got to reevaluate it.
Yeah.
Because first of all, you can't take it with you. You can't take it with you. And if you leave it all to your heirs, well, that's great. But the point is, how much is enough? Why not be very philanthropic, help these communities, help people, help the unions organize?
Right.
In my view, help them organize, lift them to the middle class. That's what they need.
And that's what America was all about.
That's right.
And we've forgotten that. For whatever reason, that has been forgotten. There was a time that people thought if we organize a union, we're going to have, they're not asking for charity, and they're
Right.
also not asking for you to just give them the money. They're saying, I want to be able to go to work. But when I go to work, I should be able to have that middle class that everybody used to talk about, the picket fence.
That's right.
So why not continue with those dreams? Because right now, there's no middle class anymore.
That's right.
We just have the poor, or
Yeah,
poor,
I know it's working poor.
and the people who frankly could never spend the money that they have
That's
in
right.
their lifetime.
Never.
Right? They will not spend it. And I understand wanting to leave something for your family, but why not also give that opportunity to everyone? to do that?
Amen. Well, some people forget, and I just was looking at my watch because you ready for this? It's almost time.
Wow. Well,
I know.
I should tell people then what they need to do for voting.
I know. But one thing I just think people need to remember, especially, and if I'm saying something that's not correct, you correct me, especially young workers who work at things who say, I don't need to join the union. I think people need to remember it was the unions that got us a 7-day work week.
Mhm.
It was the unions that got minimum wage. It was the unions that got health care. It was the unions that got paid vacation. It was the unions that said you cannot exploit children and have children working in factories
Right.
and pay them very little money because they're children. It was the unions that did all of that.
Yeah.
And they suffered with their lives to get these rights that we take for granted. I think a lot of young people, especially in unionized industries, who say, I don't want to join the union. I don't need to. Or, guys and women, remember, they're the ones that made it happen so you can benefit. And so my view is don't forget where you came from. Does that make sense?
Exactly.
You know what I'm talking
Exactly.
about.
Definitely.
So let's go through anything you want to say there. Go ahead. But let's go through the key dates, where to vote, how to vote, everything else, because that's really what this is about.
Yeah. So, again, elections have consequences. It's an opportunity for us to be seen, whoever us you think is, right? We need to be seen
And heard, but keep going.
Seen and heard. And so the dates for early votes start actually on October 21st. It's your first opportunity to go vote. You can go vote anywhere. This is the key thing on early voting. You don't have to go to your
Yep.
specific area. You can, if this place is closer because this is where I work, I can take a break and go quickly, you go there. And it ends on November 1st. And then if you don't do it on that day, then you could still do November 5th. I urge people to do it early. Do it early because you never know what's going to happen on November 5th. You
Right.
had an emergency, so just get it out of the way and you can go to the closest election office that you have to you, and there's plenty in your area. The other thing I want to make sure people should go to this website called votetexas.gov, which I think for people who are on Facebook, they can see it. It in there, you can just say, am I registered to vote? You go there and just follow the process, and it'll tell you exactly if you are registered, because as we know, they clean
Yep.
the rolls. You need to make sure that that's the case. And it will also tell you where your voting location is. So just in case you didn't get a chance to vote on the day, you can go on November 5th at that voting location. But, again, people, do it early. That is the best thing that I could say. Your voice matters, because if we vote, then people are going to care about what we have to say. And
Amen.
what's important to us.
Amen. And also, the reason to early vote too, everyone, and maybe I'm just a lazy person, there's no line.
No.
My goodness, come election day, everyone's trying to vote, and sometimes you're there for 30, 45 minutes, an hour, and then what if it's raining? Look, there's no lines on these early votes, and they're at different schools, there are different community centers, they're everywhere. I think what I'm going to do is on the next show, I'm going to list some of these places, because I think you really jogged my mind about, we got to really concentrate more on early voting. So I'm going to make sure everyone knows where they are. But there's no line, so you can do it. Do it. It's easy.
And make it fun for people. I go with my whole family.
Yeah.
I take my kids. We make it a day of it. We go have lunch after. We, take pictures with that we just voted, and then we make sure that the rest of our family goes to vote.
It's like a pachanga. You
Yeah,
have a
you make it
pachanga
fun.
over there. I mean, I totally get it. Well, I used to, when my kids were little, I would bring them in to show them how to do it, because we got to get to where voting is automatic, especially in the Latino and Latina community, because our Black brothers, the church has always been an organizing tool.
Mm-hmm.
And, I think they've learned the value of voting. Well, a lot of us in the Latino community, I don't think we've been brought up with that. And maybe it's because of the Catholic in us. A lot of us are Catholics. At the end of the day, boy, you got to vote, because it matters. And people gave their lives for this right. And if you really want to make change, that's the way to do it.
Exactly.
All right. We've got about 3 minutes. So we got an extra minute there. I know there's been a lot of emails coming through. I saw them all. I see, Dominic, you said here you can vote anywhere, both early and on the 5th. I've got it. Moody Park on the red line is a good place to vote. I see that one. October 21st starts early voting. I see that one. Keep your emails coming. I'll try to read them. Don't be a tonto, vote pronto. I see that one too. I tell you what, it's been a delight to have you on the show, because you really are inspiring to so many people, and you can tell that you love people, because you got that glow. And when you talk about people and you talk about organizing, you're not really talking about organizing. You're just talking about people should have a basic human right, which is the right to assemble, the right to work, the right to have health care, the right to a fair wage. All those really should be basic human rights, especially in the greatest democracy on the planet ever, which is our country.
That's
right?
right.
I mean, come on.
We all love it.
Yep. Sometimes it's amazing to me to see, like the elections in El Salvador the other day.
Mm-hmm.
People were lined up for hours, and the turnout was, 70% or something. I mean, it was amazing. Boy, we need to learn from some of those other countries that recognize, and maybe they're newer in their democracies, but at the end of the day, don't take it for granted. Houston, go vote. So, Elsa, you got about 1 minute. Look in that camera and tell us again.
So again, the dates for voting is 10/21, October 21st to November 1st. That's early voting. You can vote anywhere. Pueden ir a votar a cualquier lugar, ¿verdad? Es en esas fechas, siempre y cuando estén registrados, y pueden chequear, en la página de votetexas.gov, a donde pueden ustedes ver si ya están registrados y a dónde les toca ir a votar. Si necesitan cómo llegar a votar, si no tienen cómo llegar, no saben cómo llegar, hay muchas organizaciones que están ayudando. I would just say, just reminding people that if you do not have a right to go vote, there's plenty of organizations that are right now supporting people on how to get there to vote. But you just got to do it early, and make sure you check on the website that we gave earlier to know exactly where you can go.
And she mentioned that there are tons of places to vote, and she's right. So they're everywhere. So go vote, Houston. We'll tee up the ad, and we'll see you next time. This is Gilbert Andrew Garcia. Listen to my radio show, A Tip from Gilbert. Talk, inspiration, and prayer every Monday from 11 a.m. till noon on Houston's gospel leader, KWWJ. 1360 AM and streaming live on kwwj.org. Listen on the legendary KYOK 1140 AM and streaming live on kyokradio.org. KCOH 1230 AM, The Source. On San Geek Radio 95.1 FM 1460 AM. And Aliento Radio 101.7 FM and 1540 AM. Call in at 832-570-8075 and follow me on social media. See you then.